Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Nothing But the Game Devy Dynasty connection going on here. We're going to be giving you all the info on college players that are coming up into your dynasty rosters. Maybe if you're in, Canvas Canton leagues, that may be further than what we're going over, but we're just going to be going on guys that can actually hit your rosters, something that can help you win leagues. And we're super excited. Part of the whole Nothing But the Game setup. We're just diving all into college players on this side as opposed to the NFL side of things. And today I do have Matthew Van Hoy with me. Yes, I've got my brother over here rocking it. I love in the background. It's
Thank you. This is my desk.
Look, that hand whittled, I believe.
I whittled it.
So. Yes. Solid piece of wood.
Yeesh. Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here, brother. We're just going to be shooting the breeze about some players that you may not be too familiar with. I know a lot of people, even in leagues that aren't Devy leagues, need to know some of these names.
Yes,
because they're people that are going to be coming up next year. So basically, the goal with this part of the podcast, it's just to educate you guys on some college players that you won't hear their names maybe until they hit the NFL draft, and you'll be like, oh, I guess they picked him high, so I should draft him. Well, now if you listen to a couple geniuses like us, you'll have an idea of who those guys are beforehand, and maybe even some deep shot rookie players that you can snag that other people aren't quite as aware of. So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, that definitely tune in for all those. Today may not be as in depth there. We'll have some definitely some nuggets, but we'll definitely have players. We're going over our 2023 prospects. So guys that will be hitting the NFL drafts. Now, that's willing. They could, some of these guys, I guess, could say they want to stay another year and not decide. But as of now, they're projected to declare. So, we're hitting now going into week 6 of the college season, week 5 of the NFL season. So this is a great time to start kind of getting eyes on these players. A lot of them you may have heard of already, and some of them you may not have. Definitely keep following us, though. We want to get at this, want to make it conversational. If you haven't watched our stream on Nothing But the Game, our regular show every Wednesday at 8:00 Eastern time, we're just we love chit-chatting. We want to get engaged with everybody. These are pre-recorded videos so we can get information out with y'all, but please hit us up on the chats. We want to engage with y'all and see what your thoughts are. And we haven't named the show yet, so yeah, this little segment, if y'all have ideas, please send them our way. We'd love to maybe pick the brains of the masses. But how you want to get into this today, Matthew?
It's rock and roll, man. You want me to kick off my beginning?
All right. We'll do a little switch around. Number 10 of your top 10 2023 guys.
Number 10. So we're going in that order. Okay. Well, in that case, it will be a little bit more surprising. I was going to make a joke there, but hey, this is actually probably going to be a name that a lot of people may not have heard of or isn't on their radar. At number 10, I've got a little man named Dwayne Mcbride.
Ooh.
Who's Dwayne Mcbride, you might ask? I don't know. Who knows? Oh, wait, I do know. He's the running back for UAB. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only description I have on him in my notes is Yeti Jr. If you're not familiar with who the Yeti is a man named Derrick Henry. He's pretty good. He's been in the NFL for a while, and he tops the charts many weeks. Slays your opponents if you've got him on your roster. And 3-star coming out of college. Wasn't highly touted like many of the top tier players in the NFL now were. You look at your Cooper Kupps, who was a 0-star. Now he's number 1 wide receiver in the league. You look at your Patrick Mahomes. I think he was a 3-star. Now he's a top quarterback. You've got these guys that year after year go into college from high school with these low star ratings.
Yep.
No one pays much attention, and then they blow up. this dude's just looking like a monster. I've got here, he's 5'11", 215 pounds, runs a 4.5 40 time. So he's got enough quickness. But the main thing is his downfield running north
Mm-hmm.
and south is just superb. As a sophomore last year in 2021, played 13 games, rushed for 1,366 yards on 204 carries. You're looking at 6.7 yards a carry, had 13 touchdowns, did have 4 fumbles, not terrible, but
You
not
can
not
fix that.
exactly ideal.
You can fix that.
Yeah, that's something that hopefully some people never do. But
Yeah.
again, we're talking about prospects here. So, with a little more coaching and whatnot, especially
Oh
at the
yeah.
NFL level, you can definitely fix that. Um, one of the downsides, he's not super active in the passing game, but that's why I call him Yeti Jr. Derrick Henry's not super active in the passing game, and yet he slays the likes of Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler on a fairly regular basis. Regular sparingly. When Christian McCaffrey's healthy, typically no one slays him.
Yeah.
But
But
nonetheless, last year until Derrick Henry got injured, he was demolishing the rest of the competition with I can't think of the stats right off the top of my head, but he was demolishing with almost no receptions.
and
So at number 10, what's
man,
that?
I love that you led with McBride there. Seriously, because he's the power speed combo that, like you said, Junior. It's like watching Henry somehow where he's just just slowly passing cornerbacks that are like
Uh,
half his size and should be way quicker. It's insane. But he
yep.
has that power speed combo that is crazy. I just recently, I'm in a Devy league that allows you to do waiver wire pickups for a year. I
Oh,
just picked up Dwayne Mcbride on week 2 of the college season because he was undrafted on
great
our
pick.
sides. He's
Great
he's a
pickup.
beast. Going into that's what I love once the college season starts, because you have these guys that you're looking at and it's like, man, they look cool, but like UAB, why am I like gonna get a guy for UAB? Yeah, he had a cool one season, whatever.
Yep.
But then he starts coming out and you're like,
Yep. What is
okay,
that?
that guy's
Sunbelt Conference? Is that right?
developed, dude. I think so. But that guy's developed past a point. And I
Yeah.
love
No,
that you
he
brought him into
makes
this because it's definitely a name that most people aren't going to be knowing. And you went way deeper than I was going to be going. So,
well, like, and I didn't preface this. This is the top 10, but instead of just doing the top 10, your CJ Strouds, Bryce Youngs, blah blah blah. I'm probably spoiling some information right now, but those are names everybody has heard of,
yes.
and I do have a decent amount of those in this list. But I want to bring to light, on the deeper side of the top 10, some guys that may not necessarily be my top 10,
But you're excited for.
picks, but they're guys that I'm like, hey, keep an eye out for these.
Mm-hmm.
They're outside of the spectrum of the well knowns, but it's like Kenneth Walker last year. At week 3, I was like, this Kenneth Walker guy
Yes,
is going to be insane.
he needs to
Nobody
be added.
really knew who he was. Yeah, no one knew who he was before that year. And then he got drafted number 2 running back off the board, I believe, behind Brees Hall, if I'm not mistaken.
And we'll definitely listen in because we'll have a show for that specifically. Guys that have, especially with the transfer portal becoming much bigger as we go. The transfer portal has opened up pretty much like almost free agency in college, where these guys will transfer from. I mean, this is UAB. He's not even at a top Power 5 school,
Power 5.
but
Yeah.
these are guys that they were at a UAB and then moved, like Jameer Gibbs, for example. Everybody, he was on people's radar, but now he moved from Georgia Tech to Alabama, and now everybody knows his name. But
Right.
so that you'll see a lot more of this. So I'll go ahead. I'll jump into mine for sake of time there. My number 10 is
We
my
got to probably speed it up.
favorite running back. Yeah, I mean, I don't have as much stats as you brought for this. I just going based off of what I've got. My favorite, I said running back, wide receiver in this class. Not saying he's number 1, but it's my favorite. Is Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. He is, and on my list here, I am actually going on a top 10 kind of guys I'm projecting to be the top 10 dynasty producers that you could add.
Yeah.
And Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee is you use the term Yeti Junior.
Yep.
I don't want to say junior on this aspect because the guy I'm going to compare him to is as elite, but I have kind of like he isn't insanely fast. He's got size, he's got hands, his presence, he's smart with his routes, but he's got enough speed on him to do what he needs to do. Cedric Tillman reminds me of Michael Thomas a little bit out of New Orleans. He's super exciting. Michael Thomas, we know back in the day before all the injury concerns, was just an elite. He's just superior elite on that end.
Contested catching master.
Yeah, and this is what he's going to do there. Cedric Tillman is a beast. He's got Hendon Hooker. I think that Hendon Hooker might be actually riding a little bit on the coattails. I thought that until Cedric Tillman's been out the last week. Hooker actually not surprisingly, he looked really good still. He's
that
moving
whole team
up.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's moving up in a few things. I'm sure we'll cover him in other shows. But yeah, I've got Cedric Tillman as my number 10. And we'll kind of do this like a snake style. So I'll go ahead and take number 9 on this time around.
Yeah.
And we'll send it over to you. I got number 9 on my end. You'll start probably hearing more familiar names on my side. It's Tank Bixby, running back out of Auburn. When I'm grading these guys, I've got a list of like all these things I'm looking at. And my favorite one is contact balance. You have contact balance. There is something that like elite contact balance. It is something that's going to put you way above other players. That's the other thing. Whenever I was watching Javonte Williams, unfortunately injured now, out for the season.
R.I.P. to my dynasty league.
Yeah, but him coming the first few weeks out of his second year, watching him at North Carolina, I was just like, it was like a pinball machine. He was just able to bounce off of guys. I don't want to say Tank Bigsby's on that level, but you just watch these certain guys that have this contact balance, and he has this where he can just leverage his size and speed, and he does have the speed to be able to get those and the aggressiveness to hit the pocket and just go.
Yeah.
I'm not going to provide crazy stats like you had just now a second ago. This is just my list there. So Tank Bigsby, love him. Number 9 out of Auburn, running back.
Yeah, no, I love Tank Bixby as well. He kind of a little bit as far as that balance reminds me of a Kareem Hunt as well. You just see him bounce off of dudes once they get the ball in their hand, and Kareem's had a tough past few weeks, but his forte is kind of getting that ball in his hand and just it's like a pinball, they're just kind of bouncing from player to player, and they just can't get tackled. So I love that pick. Love it. This one right here is someone who's fallen from grace, if you will. He might have been number 1 on the list if we made this video at the beginning of last year. Now he's barely squeaked into my top 10. I'm talking about the instrument out of Hawaii, Mr. DJ Ukulele. I know that's not his real last name, but that's
DJ U.
Yeah. DJ. So terrible last year, right? I've got him on 2 separate Devy rosters. So he's projected to be on a couple of my teams. Since he's been on that roster, I have sadly watched his decline into really what is just lackluster play. You watch the games, you can say the offensive line isn't as good, which is true, but the fact of the matter is he hasn't looked as to what he was touted as basically coming into the league, which is weird. Because when Trevor Lawrence went down a few years ago and he filled in for him for those games, he looked fantastic. So
also had infinitely better talent all around him.
For sure. And so that's where the weak offensive line plays into it, and lesser receivers. But still the eye test doesn't lie. When you watch him, it's been a little bit of a rough ride. But this year he has started to come into his zone again. Especially his last game, it was just an absolute shootout. Looked like a monster. I think he had 5 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Really just looked like the player that you're wanting him to be. So he's number 9 on my list. By the end of the year, he may not be on my list. By the end of the year, he may jump up into the top 5.
No, his size and arm power has the ability to put him up there.
That's what it is. He's big, he's athletic, he's got the arm power. He really has had the vision up until last year, it seemed.
The last few weeks, he's
And
actually showing a lot more impressively. So
right, he's showing more impressive.
hey, right now, having some games over here with a mic. Right now, it is the time for those type of guys to be performing because they're starting to obviously it's the year that he's going to be declaring for the NFL. So whatever happened
Yeah.
last year, it could be a concern and it'll come up, but you can erase that stuff with what you do this year, and he's starting to do that.
Yep, absolutely. So, anyways, that's going to be that. That's my number 9. And let me pull up here. This is going to be another guy that probably is not as well known. At number 8, I've got Mohamed Ibrahim.
Oh,
Ah,
Minnesota boy.
who is he? Oh, I also know this one. He is from Minnesota, and so do you know, apparently. 5'10", 210 pounds, 4.5 second 40 time. Sounds a lot like my last pick, right? Mr. McBride.
You love them
Yeah,
strong, sturdy runners.
that's really what it is. He kind of fits in. I almost I almost had him as Yeti Jr. and then I put Dwayne McBride on, and I was
Yeah,
like,
Dwayne
actually,
McBride is, he fits the mold better.
he's he fits the mold better. So one of the great things about Muhammad, he's got good pass protection. That's important at the NFL level. A lot of times if you don't bring that to the table, it's harder for you to find action, field time. Even if you're a great player, not to say you don't get it, you just may not get quite as much.
Yep.
But he's hard to take down, and he gets up to speed quickly. He may not be the fastest running back in the world at 4.5, which it's decent speed, but it's not world breaking.
Right.
But he gets there quickly. So he's got that breakaway speed in a sense, but not
Mm-hmm.
that breakaway top speed.
And it really
Uh,
matters like at that size and speed how quick you're able to hit the pocket. And I'd love to see, that's one
yep.
of my favorite things to see is the cone drills when you start seeing guys hitting the combine, but then also seeing like how fast that initial, like what's your 20 time,
Yeah.
because that is really like if you're able to hit that pocket at a certain size, I don't care, you'll be able to run over, you at least embrace a linebacker that's coming in on you at you on the NFL side. If you got the vision, there's a whole lot of things that go into it, but that 40 time gets highlighted a whole lot. It's more exciting,
Yep.
but the once you start hitting a lot of these short burst speeds, and Ibrahim has that ability. I think he'll have a
Yep.
little bit of that. He's not like elite short burst, but he'll hit it strong.
Yep. Absolutely. Another thing on the downside, because we got to talk about both sides here. He's also not a pass catching back. That's really not his forte.
Right.
He doesn't have bad hands per se, just based off of the limited passes that he gets thrown, but that's not how he's ever been used. They
Mm-hmm.
could change that in the NFL. You never know what coaches will do. But
Yep.
if he gets the right opportunity and gets on the right team, and if he continues to have a good year and finishes up the year well, then
And
I think
definitely follow us on our regular stream with us at Fitz and CJ going on there, because that's actually something we're working on is come the next draft time frame, guys landing spots and where that would actually boost their value and boost what their dynasty value for you or your fantasy leagues,
because it's huge.
because
It's huge.
these guys coming in massive value, but then where they land unfortunately really 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 affects what their utilization is going to be.
Well, a great example of that this year is Kenneth Walker. Like I said, number 2 off the board, hasn't seen really very much time on the field behind Rashad Penny
Injuries a little bit
because
there too.
little bit, but Rashad Penny is just the clear-cut lead right now. Now that
Mm-hmm.
probably will change as the year goes on, but then you get somebody like a Damien Pierce who was drafted a
Well
round or
after.
two later, and he is after
Mm-hmm.
week 1 they were like, wait, why are we running Rex Burkhead? We have this young stud. Let's give him a shot.
Yeah.
In the past 2 weeks, I believe his finishes have been running back 6 and running back 10 on the
And
week.
that's
As a rookie, drafted in the
heavily,
3rd round, I believe.
you have to balance that too, because hey, where you guys that are going to peak up at the beginning, well, what are you going to be your long-term guys? So this is like we said, dynasty focus. We want to provide that info, and hey, where you could buy a guy there and then sell them while they're high, there's multiple opportunities there. So
no, trust me, I got the Pierce man on my team, and I'm looking at dishing them off. I can't right now because I don't have any healthy running backs anymore, so I got to use them. But I digress.
I feel your
Back
pain.
to you, Evan.
So I'm going to go ahead. My number 8 that we're on is Keyshawn Butte, wide receiver out of LSU. He may have been in the top 2, maybe even number 1 last year, depending on certain ranks. He's fallen a little bit on my end here because his utilization that's happening out in LSU is kind of frustrating. I don't want to say frustrating, confusing, perplexing, whatever it might be, because he's just not getting utilized. Some other players like Quentin Johnson out of TCU has having that same issue, where there are these talents that everybody's looking for, and what's happening, you really don't know. He's still in my top 8 because it's LSU, man. They put out wide receivers like crazy. And he has the size, the skills, the hands, everything that's desired for an NFL. He's got the NFL build right now. He could have gone out last year and be an NFL wide receiver. He's just there's something going on about him. I know I'm talking all negative, trying to make it a little quick here, but that's my guy there at number 8. Love him, but just the utilization is kind of concerning. Number 7 on my end, Zach Evans, running back out of Ole Miss.
This is where we're going to have some overlap.
Ooh, yes. You have him at number 7 as well, ish.
Just overlap in terms of on our list.
Yeah, we'll start hitting overlaps for sure, because you start getting to the top tier guys that you can't ignore. Zach Evans is just, he's. I won't spoil it too much. You might have more information on him, but with his transfer from TCU to Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin over there is what superb decision on his end. Utilization of that transfer portal was genius. He's going to now. There's a guy behind him, Judkins, that is looking outstanding as well, and they're kind of splitting carries because Evans is very focused, and he has been since he was in TCU. Has been knock on not getting a whole lot of carries of wear and tear because he's like already had his eyes set on NFL. He knew coming out of high school, NFL, I want to go to a team that's going to utilize me, but not run me into the ground. And that's what he's done. He's still doing it here, but he's being productive, and his skill set is outstanding. So I'm more excited for where he's going to land is what's going to be a big factor. He could jump into my top 5 depending on where he lands.
What if I told you he already was in my top 5?
Ooh, well.
Got you beat, brother,
tit for tat on that one.
Jeez. All right, man.
All right, let's see number 7 then.
I got a few more things. Yeah, I got some things I'll say on Zach Evans once he hits my list. But at number 7, I always want to call him Michael Phoenix, but his name is Michael Phoenix, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Hold yourself there.
Yeah.
Don't mix up the letters.
Yeah, Penix with an X, not an S. So
yes.
Just to clarify.
Penix.
Michael Penix Jr.
I mean, he's been rocketing
QB
upwards.
Out of and that's why he's on number 7 on my list. So he was kind of a no-name for a long time. Or not much of a name. But QB out of Washington.
His parents gave him a name, so he hasn't been a no-name.
That's true. My mistake. Some great things. Quick release, which is, if you watch the NFL, you'll see how important that is. Decent arm strength, not world breaking, but it's good enough to get the job done. And then he's also a solid dual threat, kill you with the legs, kill you with the arm type guy. 6'3", 214 pounds. Not a world breaking runner either, a 4.64 40 time, but quick enough to get out of the pocket, steal some yards on the ground. But he's just really this year, he's just looked solid. I can't say much about his previous years because in 2021, he had a QB rating of 60.9. In 2020, he had a QB rating of 93.8. So he seemed to have degressed in that year.
Yeah.
But since then, something's turned around. All I'm going to say is he's a guy to keep your eye on. He's shooting up people's boards, and there's a reason why. Oh, it's my turn again still, isn't it? I forgot.
That little snake thing can be a little confusing there.
Yes. All right. Just kidding, guys. I knew it the whole time. All right. And this guy is another name that I believe I'm pronouncing right. I'm not fluent in French, but I believe it's
Ooh.
pronounced Zach Charbonnet,
Ooh,
like
man.
a
You are picking a lot of
like a
some of my favorites to watch.
yes. Yeesh. Let me. This is embarrassing. I didn't have his information pulled up, and I thought I did. So
I have no information. It's just off the
let
top
me
of my
pull it
noggin
up.
as we're talking. So
Yeah,
he is
I'm going to
talking about
pull.
contact balance. So while you're looking for that, he is another guy I love watching. He is a fifth
Yep.
year, I believe, transfer out of Michigan to UCLA. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
analytic people that'll be low on him because he didn't declare last year. They expected him to. He didn't. Um, but
Yep.
he is exciting. It's going to be another location dependent guy.
Yep. Yeah, and really, this is just fitting the mold for my running back so far. But he's 6'1", 220 pounds, runs a 4.4.
Ooh.
Big guy, a little taller than the other two running backs I've mentioned on my list, but
Better receiver too.
really, yeah, and he's a big dude, strong north and south runner. Last year, he had 1,153 yards on 204 attempts with an average of 5.7 yards a carry, which is solid. 13 touchdowns. And one of the great things is he had 0 fumbles. The year before that, he had 19 carries only, but didn't fumble on any of those, averaged 6.5 yards a carry. And he's been solid. He holds on to the ball well. Good overall combination of size and strength. Has a lot of feel between the tackles, like we were talking about. He bounces off players pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he's good in the open field. So he's a guy. Most of my bottom 5 on the list are more of your kind of lesser known people to keep an eye on, and he just fits that mold. Keep an eye on
No,
him. He
he's
may shoot up the lists. Um, yeah.
no, yeah. I'm excited to see what he can do and continue through this season. So that was number 6, right? You said. So
Yep.
we're on. All
Yep.
right. So my number 6 is I've got wide receiver coming up here. My number
Mm-hmm.
2 wide receiver right now would not have been here last year. It's Jordan Addison out of USC. He was the go-to guy for Kenny Pickett,
Yep.
and may have been the guy who helped Kenny Pickett get his name up there. And we're seeing it now with what he's able to do out at USC with Williams. He's looking outstanding. Um, it's a very precise. I love his route running. His hands are consistent. It's precise route running. I'm making this short for sake of time here, but I'm super stoked to see what he's doing, and it's making the fact that he's improving these questionable areas that we had on what he can do. Being at USC, you expect, they pump out wide receivers too, like we were talking about with LSU.
Mm-hmm.
They pump them
Drake
out,
London.
and and Michael Pittman. Yeah, it's it's a lot of guys that through history go out of there. I think Jordan Addison is going to do a marvelous job there. Number 5 on here is a possibly more familiar name, Jackson Smith-Njigba, the product out of Rockwall,
Yes.
Texas. And no, he is Ohio State. He's a beast. He's the number 1 wide
Talk about
receiver,
wide
probably.
receiver university.
Yeah, I mean that it really is, and he's the number 1 receiver on most people's boards. So not a whole lot to say about him aside from the fact that he's a beast. He's going to go out there even with this injury. He's going to still have the draft capital.
Yeah,
And
I've got an interesting
way.
fact about I got an interesting fact about him that I'll throw in when I get him on my list. But I guess I just like these guys more than you.
And just so you know, because we're super cheap on this end, we're hurrying through this because we have like 4 minutes left on our on our recording time.
Boom.
So
all right,
I apologize for the
hit this
viewers.
real
We'll have
quick.
some upgrades in the future.
Yep. All right, let me hit this real quick. Number 5, Zach Evans, just like you said, big and quick, good vision, breakaway speed. He's kind of fits that mold of your big back. He's 6 foot, 215, 4.4 time. Kind of fits the mold with a lot of the other guys that I've said, but he was a much higher recruited player coming out of high school, so he's got a little bit more of that promise than a couple of the other guys that I've had
Yeah,
on the
he's a
list.
5-star hard hitter.
Yep, 5-star coming out of high school. He was just a stud. Number 4, I've got Bryce Young out of Alabama. Everybody knows him. He's probably going to be the number 1 person taken off the board. Looks pro ready, poised, calm, strong arm, fantastic at scrambling. When you watch him, Alabama does something with their quarterbacks and the coaching. They always look calm, collected.
They do.
They're just well coached.
Yep.
They don't make a ton of mistakes. You saw that in the Texas game. It was a heartbreaker, but he wasn't nervous at all in that game-winning drive. Made every pass, made every correct decision. He just looks like a stud. On to you, Evan.
And I don't have to say a whole lot because number 4 on my end is Bryce Young as well. They're starting to turn the tide. Yes, they put out great college quarterbacks, but not NFL quarterbacks. I think they're starting to turn this tide. Mac Jones has kind of turned some. I think Bryce Young's going to turn even harder. Tua. There's these guys that are just able to do more than what they used to. And I think Bryce Young will continue that. I've got number 3 is Jahmyr Gibbs, running back at Alabama. Yep. Like I said, Georgia Tech transfer. He's in Georgia Tech. He was a beast. Everybody knew it. Watching his film, his receiving ability, his running ability, his utilization this year has been a little bit weird in Alabama. The lack of runs, but the talent is there. It's insane. He's the second best running back in this class to me. And yeah, I'll send it on to you for number 3.
All right, number 3 should have been 5. I think I messed up my list here, and I was curious when I got to number 3 because he's not actually the song on my list. But Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He's long, he's fast, and he is quick. Ooh. He is a specimen of a man. He's 6'4", 212 pounds, runs a 4.4 quarterback. He's got a lot of intangibles that you can't coach. And if he's able to, refine some of the things that are coachable as far as decision making and a little more accuracy, things like that, then he will be a force to be reckoned with because he's an athletic freak. And then number 2, I've got Jackson Smith and Jigba. The only thing I'm going to say about him that I thought was interesting is he led Wilson and Olave in targets whenever they were in there, even though he was the wide receiver 3 on the depth chart. So I thought that was interesting. And that shows you how good he is. Evan, back to you.
And we got a minute here, so I hate rushing into these things here. CJ Stroud, the guy throwing it to Jackson Smith-Njigba, is the guy. CJ Stroud is going to be the top tier quarterback coming out of here. Not a whole lot to say aside from the fact that he's just got everything: ability, vision, running, all this stuff. And we really do apologize for rushing on this the last bit. But the last name that I have on here, everybody knows if you're in the Dynasty League, Devy League, it's Bijan Robinson. Yep. It's yours too. He's the number 1 running back this class. Not because I'm biased, but he's been the number 1 running back. If he came out last year, he probably would have been the number 1 running back.
Yep, he's got everything. He's a perfect mix, size, speed, decision-making, balance, even though he falls a lot right now. But no, he's just amazing. He's just, I don't know what to tell you, but he's just great.
And thank you all so much. We will upgrade our subscription on these things or get a better system because we are running out of time on our recording here. Thank you so much for watching as we get live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will be going on, and we're going to post more of these college videos. Definitely comment if you want to make fun of the fact that